Good afternoon. A bridge on I-5 collapsed last night, sending cars and people plummeting into the water.
And we will have an update on how the state legislature is planning on spending your tax dollars. All that and more on Oregon News.
Good afternoon. I'm Emily Kirk.
And I'm Spencer Gordon. The police have arrested the city recorder of Westfir on charges of first-degree theft. 51-year-old Deanna Cape was taken into custody after a forensic auditor's investigation into the city's finances. Westfir's mayor asked for the investigation after several residents asked him why their water and sewer payments were not being processed on time. It turns out Cape has previously been convicted of theft charges. The mayor says that though the city did a background check before hiring her, the convictions did not show up. A section of an I-5 bridge fell into the Skagit River yesterday evening in an area about 40 miles south of the Canadian border. Washington State Patrol officer says a semi carrying a tall load hit a steel girder, which triggered the bridge failure. 2 vehicles fell into the water 50 feet below. There were no fatalities, but 3 people ended up in the hospital with what are being described as non-life-threatening injuries. The bridge was not classified as structurally deficient, but a Federal Highway Administration database listed it as being functionally obsolete. The Oregon legislature has been hard at work this month on the state's budget and the issue of funding education in Oregon. They are currently working on a spending plan that still may involve further cuts for school districts around the state. We begin with a report from Danielle Frack. Democrats and Republicans are still working at finding a compromise. Both parties say they hope to reach an agreement soon. Also in Salem, the House has voted to replace Oregon's statue of Jason Lee with a statue of the late Senator Mark Hatfield, who died in 2011. Hatfield was governor and Republican U.S. Senator for the state of Oregon, who was known for his willingness to vote against his own party. He was also opposed to America's involvement in Vietnam and the Persian Gulf War. Jason Lee was a missionary in the 19th century and founder of Willamette University, but House members in favor of replacing his statue said that they would rather have a more modern and prominent figure represent Oregon in Washington, D.C. Because each state is only allowed 2 statues in our nation's capital, Lee's statue would return to Salem. Opponents of the change say it dishonors Oregon's history and removes the symbol of Christianity. The measure is now on its way to the Oregon Senate. Coming up, we'll look into Oregon's unemployment rate and growth of the University of Oregon campus. The Museum of Natural and Cultural History is expanding to literally double its size. But that is not the only construction set to take place on the University of Oregon campus in the near future. Joaquin Aguilar reports. To comment on the construction plans, visit classroomexpansion.wordpress.com. Changes will soon be underway at the Bijou Theater in Eugene. The Bijou started a fundraiser on the website Kickstarter just over a month ago. The fundraiser just ended, and the theater received more support than it could have hoped. The theater needed to raise just over $38,000 for its conversion from 35mm film to digital projection. The owners launched a Kickstarter project. That's an online fundraiser that allows anyone to log onto a website and make a donation. In just 30 days, the Bijou not only met its goal, but exceeded it. The fundraiser ended with more than $50,000 pledged to the theater, with 377 people giving donations ranging from $5,000 to $6,000. The owners plan on using the extra money to purchase new screens in the theater. The digital conversion is set to take place over the summer. A recent study has shown that certain foods we eat may not be as healthy as we think. Adam Holmes reports. John Goodwin will be right back with sports. He'll take a look at the track team's postseason competition in Austin and update us on the softball regionals. This is the Memorial Day weekend, and observations are scheduled throughout the Willamette Valley. The Eugene Masonic Cemetery in South Eugene will observe the holiday with activities over 3 full days starting tomorrow. The Pioneer Cemetery will host a formal observance Monday morning at 11. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. We'll be back next week with a special edition of our magazine show, Oregon Extra.
Have a great weekend.
Put me in, Coach. It's time for sports. I'm your man, Spencer Gordon. Tired of winning, Duck fans? I'm not either, as the Oregon softball team has clinched its first ever Pac-12 title after sweeping the rival Beavers of Oregon State last weekend. The pressure never got to the Ducks. Instead, they announced to the world they are a force to reckon with after defeating the Beavers a combined 21-1 over the weekend. Beginning the series in dramatic fashion with a walk-off home run fueled the Ducks to shut out the Beavers the rest of the weekend. The Ducks take on number 5 Arizona State this weekend in a series that has national title implications. Just a few feet away from the walk-off hit on Friday, the Oregon track team held its annual Twilight meet in front of 5,000 fans. The weather was perfect for the less competitive and fun nature of the Twilight. The seniors were in the spotlight as they competed in a duck uniform at Hayward for the last time. The field events provided the perfect stage to set personal bests in the pole vault and javelin, with Greg Skipper also winning in the hammer throw. The event also had a few Olympians compete, including reigning 3,000-meter silver medalist Galen Rupp, who won the race last Friday by a blazing 13 seconds. Correspondent Katie Cracchiolo caught up with the number 11 Ducks baseball team this past week at PK Park. Freshman Mitchell Tolman talked to reporters about his year so far, while head coach Greg Horton recognizes the target on the back for the Ducks' success. After the Ohio State series, the Ducks take on Gonzaga and then close out the regular season next weekend against the two-time national champion Beavers. Oregon's club baseball team isn't doing too bad themselves, ranked third in the nation and getting set to travel to La Grande in order to play in the Northern Pacific Conference regional playoffs this weekend. Joaquin Aguilar caught up to the team in practice this week. The NCBA World Series is a week long and starts on May 24th. After creating controversy 2 years ago for speeding down the freeway while smoking marijuana, former Duck and All-American cornerback Cliff Harris was cut from the Jets last Thursday after he was arrested for possession of pot. Harris then flew back to Oregon, where he was soon arrested again, this time for domestic violence against his girlfriend after an altercation in a Buffalo Wild Wings. But then for the third time in 9 days, he was arrested for failure to appear in court. Why? He was pulled over for speeding, passing in a non-passing zone, and driving without a license. Harris won't be arrested again anytime soon after he was denied release at his arraignment. Now, I don't think Cliff Harris is going to be seeing a lot of sunshine for a while, but Samantha Cubes will tell you just how much you're going to see in weather. Sam? Welcome to the third quarter of today's broadcast. I'm Spencer Gordon with sports. Let's start with football. Despite a looming recruiting scandal, a new head coach, and replacing 6 starters from last year, including 2 first-round draft picks, Oregon football looks as fast as ever after taking the field last Saturday for the annual spring game.
As in the past, fans had to donate food in order to be admitted to the game, and this year, Food for Lane County gathered 66,000 pounds of food on top of nearly $1,700 in donations. The Ducks ditched the motorcycle and chose to exit the tunnel a little less juiced than a regular game. That didn't stop over 36,000 fans to come and cheer for the reigning Fiesta Bowl champs. Former Oregon running back LaMichael James even showed up to cheer on his old team and new coach Mark Helfrich. But it was all business for players once the first whistle blew, and the fans were even using the game as practice for this upcoming fall season. With Helfrich's lopsided scoring system, it was all about the Ducks' offense scoring early and often. Sophomore starting quarterback Marcus Mariota stayed in for a surprising amount of time for a spring game and really shined, completing 13 of 15 passes and throwing for 2 touchdowns, including this beauty over the middle to Blake Stanton. Chest pumps and dog piles galore gave us an optimistic tease to this upcoming fall as the Ducks' offense unfairly pummeled the defense 65-10 on a fun spring day in Austin. My Oregon sports partner liked what he saw.
The Ducks will make their last BCS national title run this fall before the new 4-team college football playoff system begins in 2014. Turning to national headlines now, history was made this week after NBA player Jason Collins of the Washington Wizards announced he was gay in a cover story for Sports Illustrated. Collins' announcement makes him the first professional athlete to come out of the closet while he's still playing. Players around the league, including Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade, tweeted their support. Collins is currently an unrestricted free agent, so a team still has to sign Collins before he becomes the first openly gay athlete to play in a major sport. Stepping into the batter's box, a Pac-12 baseball showcase between number 13 Oregon and the number 20 Stanford Cardinal lived up to the hype last weekend. Mitchell Tolman laid down a perfect squeeze bunt to score Aaron Payne from third, which gave the Ducks a 4-3 victory over Stanford in the final game of the series, sweeping the Cardinal under the carpet. Also this week, players Ryan Healy and Jimmy Sherfy were named on the 60-person Player of the Year watch list, with the field cut to 30 on May 28th. The team takes on Washington State Cougars up in Pullman for a 3-game series this weekend, with the first game starting at 6. Chalk another national title for the Oregon Ducks this year after the acrobatics and tumbling team won its 3rd straight national title last Saturday in Connecticut. The team took on Quinnipiac University in a close matchup for the entire tournament, with the Ducks ahead at halftime by just 2 points. The Ducks came out of halftime fired up and stuck it in the toss and tumbling rounds. The Ducks held on to win the championship by just 5 points and tumbled back home victorious. Running around the corner to track now, the Ducks women's 4x400 team rolled home with a wagon wheel for the first time in school history last weekend at the Penn Relays, breaking Texas A&M's meet record in the process. Men certainly were ready to run as well, winning the 4-mile race and setting a season's best in the 4x4. Also last week, the Peyton Jordan Invitational in Palo Alto became the perfect stage for Jordan Hesse to break the Pac-12 women's 10,000-meter record by 5 seconds. Hopefully the Ducks can keep their pace at the annual Twilight meet. Head over to Hayward Field today at 3:40 to catch the excitement. Now, if there was any day for a track meet, this is the day. Lauren, how much longer can we brag about this Eugene weather?
The Oregon Ducks men's golf team flew back from the Western Collegiate Golf Tournament with an 8th place finish. However, despite an overall disappointment with their seeding, the young Ducks played a course that's hard to play if you haven't played it before.
This tournament is definitely the hardest golf course we played. The past tournaments were the course that are similar to what we play here. So it was kind of like, I mean, if you're hitting it bad off the tee, like you can get around with it and shoot like 72, 73 is your worst scores. But when you play this kind of golf course, if you're hitting it bad, there's no escape. You're gonna pay for it.
In his 7th year as head coach, Casey Martin had a tough challenge from the beginning of the year after losing most of his team to graduation. However, he still believes in his team, saying that mentally they're all in the right state of mind.
Yeah, I mean, this was definitely a rebuilding year in the sense of when we lost, 2 first-team All-Americans and 4 seniors. It's hard to just flip it and be the same team. And I knew that when I'd built the team, I kind of went all in on those guys. And so there was going to be this day where we'd have to kind of do it again.
With the Pac-12 championship in 2 weeks, varsity number 1 Jonathan Wu says that despite their inexperience, a national championship tournament berth is possible.
The main goal is to get to nationals. It's going to be a little tougher this year because we're just young, but I mean, getting top 5 at regionals, we just got to play well. I mean, there's no way around it. If we don't play well, we're not making it to nationals, and that's how it is for every team. So.
Last weekend, the Willamette Valley Music Festival decided to name a DJ as its headlining act, and the result was one of the biggest turnouts the festival has ever seen.
This is the first year that it's gotten so much exposure and so much recognition between the students, and I think the EDM aspect of the festival has actually brought in all that exposure. So,
EDM, or electronic dance music, has been growing in Eugene thanks to Kesey Enterprises. The company, which owns McDonald Theater, has been able to attract big-name EDM artists to Eugene over the past few years.
With Eugene, it has a high concentration of young people and low competition rate. And so with that, it makes success easy for these artists to come through here. So I would say 95 to even upwards to 99% of the time, there's agents getting a hold of us saying that my artist wants to play your venue.
Popular EDM names like Steve Aoki, Dada Life, and multiple Grammy Award-winning artist Skrillex have played to sold-out shows for Kesey Enterprises. But as Hergenreder explains, Eugene is just an example for a movement that has enveloped the entire country.
And so I think that it just kind of has grown into what it is, and it's not like it's just happening here in Eugene. It's widespread. Electronic music is considered popular music today. And you listen to the radio, pretty much every song on any station, I guess, rather than country music, you're hearing electronic beats in the background, somewhere in there. So in terms of how it's become so popular, I think it's just kind of built up into this, into where it's just kind of at its zenith right now.
As the music stays popular, Kesey Enterprises has no intention of jumping off the EDM bandwagon. For Oregon News, I'm Spencer Gordon.